Hey guys, Shanti Phillips here with my review of The Shallows, starring Blake Lively. Pretty much Blake Lively is the star, and the co-star pretty much in this movie is a bird, which is like, if you see the movie, you see the bird, and I actually like the bird character. You may be like, a bird? You're right, well, you'll see it's a bird. Well, it is. Well, basically, it's a, new killer shark movie, and actually, like, the trailer, I will say, didn't give everything away in this movie. I was really worried, like, oh, did you see everything big that's going to happen in this movie from the trailer? And they actually, in the trailer too, some events are kind of changed around a little bit too. So you're like, things don't always happen exactly as you thought they do in the trailer, which is actually kind of cool that it wasn't exactly what you were thinking. And a lot of the things too in the trailer also made you think, oh, did this person do that? They did, they had like a lot of stuff to kind of confuse you, to not make you kind of put you kind of on the edge of your seat with this movie, as opposed to going into it kind of knowing everything that was happening. The director of this did the movie Orphan and Nonstop. I really liked Orphan a lot. I actually thought that was actually a pretty good movie. I remember seeing a screening of that at Comic-Con when he was there early on. But it's actually a really pretty cool movie, and this was actually pretty good as well. I have a feeling, though, it may have been cut down from, R to PG-13. I just felt like a little bit, like, especially one or two things, I was like, maybe they might have trimmed this down a little bit. Wasn't certain on that, but I had a feeling they might have, because it was kind of a movie that kind of seemed like it would have been aiming for an R rating, for this one. But basically, though, the movie is about a girl who goes to Mexico because, her mother has recently passed away, so she goes to Mexico. She's kind of like, not sure what she's doing in her life. She's dropped out of medical school, is kind of upset about what's happening, so she ends up going there to a beach where her mother went, where, her mother basically found out she was pregnant with her, so she's always wanted to find this beach. It's like a secret hidden beach area. She's managed to track it down. No one will, like, tell her what it's called, so, like, her friend is, I was originally going to be going to the beach with her. She's hungover from the night before, so she kind of goes out here herself. She gets a guy to drive her out there, and it's basically her out there. No one really knows where she is, and she goes out there and go surfing. There's a couple other guys that are out there surfing as well. She even asks them, what is this beach called? No one will tell them what this beach is called. And of course, she goes out there surfing, and one thing leads to another, and she ends up basically trapped out there with a killer great white, or I guess it's a great white. It's a gigantic shark. It's basically, this shark is an example of a total asshole shark. This shark is a relentless shark that is probably one of the meanest sharks, like, I guess even meaner than Jaws in a weird way, because this shark is like absolutely relentless with wanting to eat and kill anything that comes in its way. And it's like really a terrifying thing of her trying to survive being trapped out there with this shark, and what she ends up having to do and what ends up going on. It's basically like a trapped out there on this rock with this shark, and it's a total nightmare situation. And it's one of those movies too, if you're scared of sharks, I think it will really creep you out. The guy in the seat next to me was like squiggling up in his seat, and he kept putting his feet up every time the shark was like attacking or jumping. He was like putting his feet up, like he was like acting like, I think thought he was out in the ocean himself, because he kept really like lifting his feet up, and so almost like he thought the shark was going to come up from under the seat, because it's one of those theaters where the chair goes up with the feet and things. Like, he kept on thinking like the shark was going to come up there and bite his legs off. I don't know. He's just really panicking. And I personally have always been, really creeped out with the ocean. You couldn't even pay me to go out into the ocean, more than like a foot. Ever since I saw Jaws as a kid, I think I was probably like 7 years old, saw it on VHS or something like that. I used to, before that, go in the ocean and thought nothing of it. Then after Jaws, I was like refused to go in it. I have never gone in the ocean since. Like the furthest I've ever gone, like I said, was maybe a foot. Like, I'm terrified of the ocean. I even was going to do like a little skit of me going in the ocean. I'm like, I'm not going to do that. I just cannot do it. I cannot make myself go out into the ocean more than a foot and actually, to like waist deep no matter what. I just cannot do it. There's still continuously, recently there's been shark encounters and shark attacks and stuff. It happens. So like, especially out in California here, I'm sure a lot of people who are seeing this out here are surfers, so there's more people creeped out and stuff like that by the whole vibe. And this movie really, to me, had a very creepy vibe. Some of the shark was not absolutely perfect. It was kind of CG-ish a little bit, but for the most part, it was actually pretty well done. I think, too, they CGI'd, I think, like Blake Lively's face onto the surfing, or her, like someone surfing for one scene, because it kind of had that look to it. I don't know for certain, but it kind of had that vibe. This is one of those movies, too, that would be interesting to see, like the behind-the-scenes making of how they did this, if they were shooting some of this on like like a green screen lot, or for when she was sitting on the rock and stuff. It'd be interesting to see like the behind the scenes of how this was all done, because it's definitely one of those movies I think would have some interesting stuff going on. But like I said, I thought this was actually a pretty tense movie, and actually pretty much, one of those movies were kind of creeping out, like what is she gonna do? Kind of had the vibe a little bit of Open Water, because like that was like them floating out into the ocean like that. It sort of had that kind of feel a little bit to it. But anyway, though, guys, like out of 5 stars or so, and I don't really rate out of 5 stars, so I don't know. I guess I'd say like maybe like 3.5, 4, so something like that. But anyway, though, guys, if you guys have seen the movie, let me know what you guys thought of it below. Like I said, I thought it was actually pretty creepy, pretty tense movie. Not perfect on all the aspects. Blake Lively, though, did a really good job for carrying the movie, and I also, like I said, like the bird. And you see the movie, you know what I'm talking about with the birds. But anyway, though, guys, thanks again for watching and subscribing, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.